had reviewed some portion of the minutes that does not reflect my edits. Therefore, I want to be sure that in no way is that being used as the document that would be guiding us.
Well, wait a minute, are you making a motion?
Yes, so I'm moving to, I'm clarifying, the motion to approve the minutes as amended by the revisions that were in my email, not by the edits that are showing in the meeting materials.
Well, these are my edits. Okay. Oh, no, these are not mine. I'm sorry, those are Jennifer's. This is your edits. Okay.
So, can I clarify, Jennifer, are you saying?
She wants to approve these minutes as amended with her changes here. So that's the motion on the table.
Correct.
Because I thought you were saying your email, the changes in your email are not reflected in what we're seeing here.
They're not reflected in that document.
This doesn't reflect.
And that was the only document, the meeting materials, so I was simply drawing a clarification because there had been some confusion
So
before.
here, let's look at this document. This is the one that has Jennifer's changes on it. So let's look at that section, because I have no problem with these other changes in most of the document, except for, and if you can go further down, this part is inaccurate, okay? And because, and I did some different edits, and if you could bring up my version, and it's just on this section. Sorry, guys. Okay, Jennifer's corrections are in the red and blue. Okay, she crossed out the red, and then she added the blue. I crossed out some of the blue and added the green. Because, let me tell you, and I know this is complicated, go further up.
Point of order, I do think this is outside the scope of the motion, which is to move, to approve, to amend the minutes as reflected in my edits.
Okay,
If you have a separate set of edits that you'd like us to
Let's second it,
consider.
and then we can discuss. I'll second it. So now we're discussing, okay? This is part of the discussion, that you did not state that that the minutes with respect to the animal task force, that it was similar to the document that Selectman Pereira had circulated. You said that it was the motion, that it was the motion projected. So I listened to the tape twice this morning, to the audio, and I would, offer that anyone else can, but these parts that I crossed out are not accurate. So I want to make sure that the minutes reflect what actually happened at the meeting.
I respectfully disagree. I listened to this at length as well, and what I said was it apparently was the same document, and my edit shows that it was apparently the same document. I then clarified, you said that it was not. I believe that my characterization is accurate. I also believe that further discussion of this is not a good use of our resources, and I would call for a vote.
I'd like to hear Donna speak to this, because I think
If we are going to approve meeting minutes that do not reflect what actually happened at the meeting, then I am going to have to ask that we somehow attach an addendum or other documentation that perhaps provides an actual transcript of what happened, because we cannot be doing minutes that are not what happened at the meeting. That's just, it's wrong.
I'd like to jump in here if I may. I think we're expending, I was going to say wasting, expending an awful lot of time on this. And if there are substantive differences, I think we ought to honor what they are, recognize what they are, and honor what they are. And what I would move right now, rather than trying to debate this tonight, that we move this one off also and postpone it, and ask in the future that if there are any edits to the minutes, that they be given to the Board of Selectmen at least 1 week before we meet, because then there is plenty of time.
We've not had that in the past.
is that a motion to table?
Yes.
February 20th. Do I have a second for February 20th?
And I will second the motion to table and ask that the members of the Board of Selectmen listen to the audio.
So motion to table the February 20th regular meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Brings us to the special meeting February 26th, which was a budget meeting, I believe. This is the one, this is the one where we discussed the employee investigation. Motion approved, seconded by Ken. Any discussion on these minutes on February 26th?
Great.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That brings us to the last regular meeting, March 6th. And a motion to approve the March 6th regular meeting.
Motion to approve the March 6th regular meeting. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes from March 6th? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We've got three. Let's see, that brings us to unfinished business. And the first one is a memo from Ginger Salisbury that we kind of looked at a little bit at the last meeting, but we were running out of time. So Ginger is looking for clarification with regard to the two motions that are out there that from Ginger's point of view are in conflict. So
Motion to approve the resolution that was set forth in the February 20th minutes as the one and only resolution, and nullifying the resolution that was set forth in the January 16th, 2014, with respect to the matter of the task force for animal control.
well, I would like that, so that's moved, right? That's what you did, right? Moved, okay. Second?
Second?
Moved and seconded by Ken. I had some notes here, and I apologize, but I would like to speak against the motion. When I put the first motion forward, I was very concerned about the naming of a particular person, the assistant or the deputy animal control officer. There was two reasons for that. One is what I publicly stated at the time, which was the department head of the animal control is the logical person to represent the town from the animal control task force. At that time, I was also aware of my concerns about some of the performance issues with regard to the deputy. And that's why I thought it was inappropriate, though that's what, when Jennifer had sent me the note, or the email suggesting, here's what should be in the resolution. And as you remember, I tried my best to take Jennifer's email and put it in the form of a resolution. I did put that forward on the screen for everybody to see. That was my intention. What I didn't want to do, because I don't like to do it, is begin to talk about personnel issues in public, because I don't think that's an appropriate place to start. But I would want to make the point that the first selectman, per the charter, is responsible for the management of the people, the supervision of the people. When the Board of Selectmen tries to reach in and tell the first selectman how to use his resources, you're going in a direction that is counter to the charter, inappropriate, I believe, in terms of the role of the selectman, and most importantly, undermines my ability to do the job that I've been asked to do by the voters. It is for that reason that I believe the original version, or the original motion and resolution, should be the one that we stay with at this point.
In response, the Board of Selectmen quite clearly identified the names of the people for the task force. It is within the purview and the sole purview of the Board of Selectmen under the town charter to name and approve those members. That should not have been unilaterally set aside by the first selectman. That was the violation of the charter. In any event, this board voted in a majority vote on February 20th on a task force that specifically includes Martha Stevens. There is no reason to set that aside, and I will not entertain personally setting aside this for yet a third time. And this has nothing to do with overriding the first selectman's ability to manage the town. An individual has been named to a task force. That is a completely separate issue, and individuals are free to do what they want to do under the First Amendment and many others on their free time.
And I would like to add to that the charter prohibits non-residents from serving on town committees.
You're inaccurate as to that statement. First of all, Ms. Stevens was a resident of Southbury
I'm not
elected.
finished speaking.
Please continue.
The charter requires that people who are serving on town commissions be residents of the town of Southbury. Ms. Stevens stood up here and said she was not, that she plans to be soon, but that she was currently not. That's another concern of mine. If this is a new practice, you know, then it's going to need to be revisited for the charter. But I think that it's a bad precedent to set to appoint non-residents to town committees.
Yeah, you're blatantly misstating what the charter says. First of all, section 503C of the charter does say that non-residents may be elected as advisory members to task forces. Second of all, Ms.
Is she an
Stevens was,
advisory member?
yes, she is at this time. Would you please let me continue? Ms. Stevens was a resident and elector of Southbury when she was named to the task force. She actually continues to live in Southbury at this time, albeit not in an address that she's currently owning or renting. Notwithstanding that, apparently the first selectman had her voter registration revoked unilaterally after she was named to the task force. We did not deem that appropriate to remove her from the task force. Until her elector registration is clarified, she is serving an advisory member, which has been discussed with the task force.
Okay,
Wow,
again,
that
she
is the
stood
most
up here.
outrageous thing you've said about me so far. Now, I have never done that. I don't know where you got that from, but Jennifer, I am really getting tired of the number of misstatements that you made. You did it last night at the Economic Development Commission. You made misstatements about what our conversations have been about with regard to the website. You've made allegations about me with regard to the dog pound, that I have, that we run an operation that is not in keeping with the standards of the state of Connecticut. This has got to stop. You just can't make statements.
You're correct.
So
I do
I
not
want to
speak
know,
anything
how
but
do
the
you
truth.
know, how do you know that I did that with the voters?
I do not speak anything but the truth, First Selectman.
Okay, how do you know that?
Because I can get affidavits from the registrars that this occurred. Secondly, with respect to the shelter, I never spoke anything but the truth. The shelter failed the state inspection. Third, with respect to the Economic Development Commission meeting last night, which is completely outside the purview of this board, but I will address it. What I stated was that you had stated something in an email, and I'm happy to produce a copy of that email.
Okay, but I would just like to say, please show me those affidavits from people at the registrars.
If you wish to pursue this, First Selectman,
I
which
do.
I would not suggest that you do, but
I
if you
do.
do, I will get those affidavits.
I would like to see
And I
them.
would again like to comment that Martha herself stood up in front of this group and said she lives in Naugatuck. I didn't make that up. She said it. So I'm just, again, it's a concern. Now, you know, we can continue to discuss this ridiculous thing all night, or we can just go ahead and vote on this.
The charter clearly provides for advisory members. She is serving in an advisory capacity at this
Not
time,
appoint her as an
given
advisor.
the change to her elector status that was forced upon her.
But
Why don't we do this and make it easier, because we're spending a lot of time, we went through your sin both resolutions and amend, adopt another resolution tonight, amend, specify that she's an advisory member.
Chad, I would say for simplicity,
I would say.
we have a motion from Jennifer that I forgot who seconded.
Yeah.
And I think we've had the discussion. I've had a chance to vent, my frustration about what I think was done inappropriately. I think Donna's had a chance to vent. I have a feeling, we know how the vote will go, so I will call the vote on Jennifer's
Yes.
motion.
Yes, the motion again is that the resolution passed with a strong majority on February 20th remains in effect and is the sole resolution. Any resolution described in January 16th meeting is rescinded and null in its entirety.
It was a 3-2 vote.
But, so, if there's no more discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Jonna, aye?
I forgot what we were.
I can't vote for one. Motion carries 4-2.
Now, I move that with respect to the animal task force, that Martha Stevens be changed from full member to advisory member.
Because just to clarify for everybody, as the resolution was, she was on the executive committee of the task force. So she would move to an advisory committee, advisory position or advisory?
Advisory member is.
Advisory member.
I would second that.
Okay, moved and seconded.
I'm okay with that because that is what has been discussed at the task force for this interim step. Simply because she does not currently appeal on the electoral rolls as she did when she was elected to the task force. When she is back on the electoral rolls, then we can move to have her be a full member once more. So I have no problem with that.
Okay. Any further discussion on Chad's motion, which has been seconded? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
What did I do? I think I said aye. I meant to say, must be past the witching hour. Okay, the next item is the resolution to adopt an ordinance with regard to joining the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments. Again, I alluded to this before. You had some materials sent out, basically this, what is it? Maybe someone would put this motion forward for discussion? Second by Chad, second by Ken, to basically say we want to move forward to the next step to adopting an ordinance for the public hearing on April 3rd. Again, I sent out the information. Any questions or concerns on that? Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And as we proceed to new business, I'd like to note to add to the agenda for new business, an item with respect to the fiscal 14 to 15 Town of Southbury budget.
Second.
So new business number 4, what did you call it? I mean, is there anything specific or just a review of the budget?
It's an item that concerns the fiscal year 14 to 15 Southbury budget.
Would you like me to?
We'll vote on it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get so that something can be written down. All right. So starting with new business, and I apologize
Do you want to move to?
Okay, so that's been moved, and Ken, you seconded that, or?
I did.
Okay. All right, motion to add, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion, all those opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Motion carries, and I will abstain, because I have no idea really what we're talking about in this case. So with that, I think we will move to the,
I would like to add to that and make a motion that a memo be prepared from the Board of Selectmen to the Board of Finance to remove the $16,000 for storage space.
is this in addition to Jennifer's?
No, it's a separate one.
So you want to add something to the agenda?
This is the item, isn't it?
Pardon?
This is the item.
This is the item.
Right, so we
Not
can
here.
discuss it in new business.
No, this is the budget item.
This is the budget item. You asked what was the budget item?
Right, so, okay, but I think Jennifer gave us enough to say that's what we're gonna add, is a discussion of an item
Okay.
regarding that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask Attorney McTaggart to come forward to help move us through the next 2 items, which is basically to discontinue town-owned land in 2 different places.
Taking the first one, I'm Del McTaggart from the law firm Mr. Barkowski and Department, and I represent William Cummings Jr., who owns property on Potomac Trail. It has turned out that for over almost 50 years, the house that was built by his uncle and to his father and then to him, after a modern survey was done, was shown to be encroaching over the trail. And if you move ahead, there's a map that I think will be helpful. There he is, right here. This is Bill Cummings. If you can look forward, there's a diagram that I think will be helpful. Not that one?
Yeah.
Well, there's an actual survey. This is the county assessor's map, and we need the actual survey. It's further on. That's the right version.
Is it part of this, Gail?
Yes, it is. This is what's on my screen. It's an attachment. It's an attachment right after this. Okay, all right.
Gail, I'm gonna ask Chad to take over for a minute while I take care of something.
Okay.
How much business can I get done?
This diagram shows his residential property, which if you look up there at block 83, you'll see